93 million children around the world do not go to school. Children fail to attend school for many reasons, such as cost, distance, or lack of facilities. Yet not all these reasons are obvious. Some remain unnoticed, silent, and ignored. This is the case with parasitic worm infections. For millions of children, these infections are impeding their education today and their development tomorrow. The problem of widespread worm infection has a simple and cost-effective solution. For less than 50 US cents per child per year, mass school-based deworming is a safe and highly effective intervention. In fact, it is the most cost-effective method of improving attendance and overall schooling. In Western Kenya, like much of the developing world, the prevalence of worm infection is very high. Because worm infections are so common, however, they are often not identified as a threat. In many of these areas, having worms is seen as merely a symptom of childhood.
The community where worms are devastating the lives of children have lived with these problems for a long time, and they have been accepting them as normal.
Despite their stealthy nature, worms do make a difference to children's lives. Not only do they damage their health, but they limit their access to education and thwart their overall development.
Worms gradually build up in your body. As they build up in your body, they're consuming nutrients that need to go to the human body. So people develop anemia over time. There can be malnutrition. So people, they just gradually feel weaker and weaker. So it's not one day to the next a dramatic change. But at the end of this, children are much more listless. They just don't have the energy that they would otherwise have.
The negative impact of worms on education is enormous. Infected children fail to attend school on a regular basis. They feel either too sick or too tired to leave their homes. Moreover, worm infections negatively affect children's cognitive development and school performance.
When you talk about worms, we usually talk about Ascaris lumbricoides, which are the roundworms. We have Trichuris trichura, which is a whipworm, and of course the hookworm. And then, apart from these worms, the three that I've mentioned, there is schistosomiasis.
Worms exist in tropical and impoverished areas, characterized by inadequate sanitation, limited access to safe water, and overcrowding. They are spread when infected people defecate on the ground, depositing the eggs on the soil, or when feces are used as fertilizer. The tiny eggs of roundworms and whipworms are quite sticky. They easily stick to the hands of children and enter the human body when they come in contact with the mouth. This often occurs when children eat with unwashed hands. Hookworms have developed a different infectious cycle. Their eggs hatch in the humid soil, and their larvae are capable of penetrating the skin. Hence, children walking barefoot are at high risk of infection. The cycle of infection for schistosomiasis, also known as bilharzia, is different.
Schistosomiasis is a waterborne disease, and children get it when they have contact with water. That is the time Cercaria, whose development passed through snails, penetrate the skin of barefooted children who have contact with water.
Worms have not received the same level of global attention that malaria has, but they pose an equally serious threat to children in the developing world.
400 million school-age children have these worms. And it turns out these worms are actually incredibly cheap to treat. The medicine for the most common types of worms costs 2 pennies, 2 US cents per dose.
Mass treatment of children through school-based deworming is an immediate and effective control strategy that can change the lives of children today. Using the infrastructure of schools to carry out deworming campaigns is a very cost-effective strategy because schools collect large numbers of children in one place and already have distribution and training networks. In many places, access to health clinics is difficult, so treatment outside of the school system requires moving medical teams at high cost. Deworming drugs are very safe. Hence, with the support of health workers, teachers can be trained to deliver them in the school setting. In regions of high prevalence, all school-aged children should be treated for worms every 6 months, including training, shipping, and distribution. One treatment costs less than 50 US cents.
So deworming is incredibly cost effective. In fact, there was a review by the Poverty Action Lab at MIT that looked at a wide variety of approaches to increasing school attendance. And of all the things they looked at, deworming was not only the most cost effective, but it was the most cost effective by, the difference was tenfold between that and the runner-up.
School-based deworming is an easy and cost-effective strategy to fight worm infections and give millions of children around the world an opportunity to have a better future.
Here is something that is simple, that is efficient, that can have an untold benefits on the education and health of tens of millions of children, and it is a disease with a known cure.
What change has occurred? What they say is, the kids are very vibrant, they are jumping, the appetite is good, and they can concentrate, and I want to believe those are very positive. You know, those are very, very positive things coming up, and therefore you find out that the demand for deworming is becoming greater and greater.